Hey, how's it going everybody? Mosey Designer here, doing a quick tutorial on how to set up a cinematic camera. I have Unreal Engine 4.26 installed. Just going to click on launch and we're going to go to new project, games, next, third person, next. We will use starter content, so make sure this is turned on. It might say no starter content, make sure it says starter content. Give it a name. Since I might revisit this tutorial and add on to it, let's just call it Learning Cinematics. Create project. Alright, so my view looks a bit different, but let me close some things out. Again, it's not the prettiest scene in the world, but we're not worried about visuals right now. We just want to learn how to use cinematic cameras. I have new plugins available, dismiss. So the first thing I like to do is where it says Viewport 1, go down here, this arrow, do layouts, 2 panes, and one pane will look like its top view. Just go to where it says top, make that perspective, and the other one, it says perspective, click on it and change that to cinematic viewport. You can also go to the arrow here and turn off show toolbar. And another thing we can do right now is on the right corner there's overlays. There's a lot of cool ones in here, but we'll just start with a 3x3 grid, and we want to turn real time on. So the next thing we want to do is go to cinematics and add a level sequence. Create a folder, call it cinematics, I can spell, open it up, and let's call the first one cam_1, and you should be treated with this sequencer. So the cool things to note are our right view has now turned into like a media player, and on the left corner and the green is the playback start time. I set it 0. It matches the green line here on your sequence. The yellow is the current time of the timeline. So if I, let's say, type in 50, see the timeline bar has moved exactly to 50. If I need to find an exact frame I want to use, set the back to 0. And the last number here is 150 is equal to the end of the frame. We are running at 30 frames per second. So if my math is correct, 100 frames here times 30 frames per second is a 3-second shot. So let's bump this up to 300. That should be 9 seconds. So basically I typed in 300 here. My sequence timeline has increased, but maybe I can't see the entirety of it, so just bring your cursor into the sequence, hit your minus key, and there you go, you can zoom in and out on your timeline. So let's just hit save. In the sequencer we want to create a new camera and set it as the current camera cut. And when we do that, you see our cinematic view has now become pilot active cinematic camera actor. We can now pilot this camera, and what the camera sees is what the viewport sees. It's a very cool way to track your camera. So let me find my cinematic camera. There it is. See, as I move it, we are seeing what it's seeing in the cinematic viewport, but not the construction viewport over here. There's a lot of settings on the detail panel, but one cool thing is film back. Basically changes the type of camera you have. Right now it's set to 16:9 digital film. Let's change it to 16:9 DSLR. Just have like a simple flyby. So let's bring our camera over here. Maybe rotate it. Let me turn off grid snaps and rotation snaps. It does bring another pop-up here of the cinematic camera actor. I forgot how to move this out of the way, but if someone remembers, please let me know. But it is in my way right now. Anyways, so I turned off my grid and my rotation. I should set it to powers of 2, but a little lazy right now this morning. Anyways, I can rotate this, and you can also use your local and world transform to set the rotation and location of your camera, but let's say something like that. That works for me. And we're going to click on our sequencer here and make sure transform is highlighted. So basically hit enter at this time. This is our initial keyframe. Next we want to move our timeline over, let's say to 150, the halfway point. If we can't line it up, make sure your snaps are on. But if it's still not lining up, you can always go to your cinematic viewport. In the orange number, type in 150. Now what I want to do at 150 is move my camera closer and then hit enter. If you've done it correctly, there'll be a line of movement in your construction view. And to see it working, click on to front in your cinematic view and hit play. So we just zoomed in on the stairs. Nothing fancy. So let's go back to our sequence and let's go to 300. So I typed 300 on the orange text there to get the bar exactly where I want it. And then let's say I can rotate my camera. And bring it down. So that's where I want it to be, and now I will hit enter. And it has drawn the line of how the camera will move. Not the fanciest camera movement, it's a whole art of camera movements, but this is just a basic of how to get your cameras moving for cinematic. So we'll click to front, hit play. Camera moves in, starts to turn, and look at the mannequin over there. Pretty simple. So let's close this out, hit save. Let's create a second camera. Cinematics, add a level sequence, cinematics, cam _2. Same thing. We'll click on create a new camera and set it as a current camera cut. And notice our perspective view now has the camera. That is wrong. If that happens, click on the little camera icon here, unlink cinematic camera actor from Viewport. Or if that's not working, just click on stop piloting actor within current view. And then let's click on our cinematic viewport and link the camera there. Now it says pilot active in the correct viewport. Now we can find our cinematic camera. If we can't find it, just go to the world outliner, camera 2, right there. Let's adjust it, and maybe this shot will just come down the stairs. So let's move our camera like so. So I'm not sure where I'm looking. Let's go here. There's a dude. And let's set this to the same 16:9 DSLR camera. Maybe in your cinematics you want different cameras for different sequences. That's perfectly fine. And I'll go to make this also a 300 sequence. Go to transform, hit enter for the initial keyframe, and let's move to 150. I just typed it in here, and let's move our camera forward to the edge of the stairs. Hit enter. That is our new keyframe. Then we'll type in 300, and let's say we'll raise our camera up and have it look down here, and then start to zoom in on the dude. Hit enter, and did that create the timeline? Let's take a look. We'll go back to front, hit play. And that looks pretty good to me. So we have two cameras set up. We can go to cinematics and add a master sequence to stitch the two together. We'll call this sequence underscore learning. It has 5 shots, but let's make this 2 because we know we have 2. Create master sequence. And we can get rid of this and then go to our content browser, content, cinematics, cam 1, drop it in, cam 2, drop it in. Since they're both at 300, they're kind of fighting for time, so we actually have to double our master sequence to fit both sequences in. So we will go to our playback range and set it to 600. Now we can move camera 2 over here. And if I go back to front, and we want to lock viewports to shots, click on our cinematic viewport, lock the shot, hit back to front, and hit play. So camera 1 is going. Camera 2 is going. Now see, I made a mistake there. It stopped earlier. That is because camera 2 does not have a full camera cut. So let's fix that. Simply just double click on camera 2. Let's zoom out of our timeline here. And see this camera cut? It is ending at 150. We need to drag it all the way out to 300. And then we can just click on where it says, basically we're already in cam 2. We can go up the folder chain in the sequence itself and click on learning master. And now, not sure why I'm not getting my zoom correctly here, but it's not a big deal. But now it's doing cam 1, cam 2. Let's go back to front and watch it again. So there's our first camera. Completes the shot. To camera 2. See, now it's doing the complete sequence we created. Excellent. But let's say you say, you know what? Cam 2 should happen first in the cinematic. So okay, let's just move cam 1 down. Drag cam 2 up. Cam 2 over. So now cam 2 will fire first. And camera 1 will fire later. So you can do some cool editing of your shots in the master sequence. So we just reversed how the sequences play out in our timeline. So that's just the basics of how to set up a cinematic camera. In the next tutorials, building on this one, I will show you how to add some interesting tracks within the camera tracks we've already created. So for now, that's just the basics, and I hope it gets you started on your journey to create cinematic cameras.